Hi everybody, welcome to Stratosphere Lounge. I'm your host, Bill Whittle. Let's grab our friends over on Twitch here. Hello Twitcheroos, I'm Bill Whittle and I'm all cleaned up, eyebrows here. I'm ready to go. I'm fashion ready and camera ready, and I like the cleaner look. Got the went in for the Eugene Levy's. They had a special, so I'm kind of digging those. Hair looks white, but I do like it shorter, and I think it looks better. It looks almost human against this fire Waco. Ay caramba! Um, God, I've got codpiece mania going on in the Twitch stream. It's just it's more than a man can bear. To be honest with you. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. It's Thursday night here. Um, don't have a big long introduction. Been doing a lot of just a lot of editing and getting the stratosphere. I mean the right angles back out again, and just getting a little rest. But thank you very much, Rev Ryan. Um, and other than that, move out of the way of my Gorn companion here. I probably should. Let me just pan this a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. There we go. So yeah, I don't really have a real big introduction to talk about that I can think of. I suppose one thing we could do is just dive right into the questions, because we had to cut them short a couple times. But uh, yeah, just been doing fooling around in the time we spoke last. There's another AI animation thing out this time. Midjourney, which does such amazing stills, did now you can animate in Midjourney. Yeah, looking like John O'Hurley. I love John O'Hurley. I thought he was absolutely awesome. Let me see if I got something handy here. I might. Hang on a second. Um, yeah, the Midjourney animation is pretty phenomenal. I'll download. I know it's mostly Monday night topic, but I'll just drop two in that I just thought were fun. Our colonist couple, I just did a couple of sort of unique takes on them, stuff we haven't seen before. So let me pop these into the appropriate places. Hang on a second. We have. I wasn't going to show any of this stuff, but to be honest with you, I've been spending, a lot of time on it, and where did the other one go? There's one. There's two. Okay, so check this out. Here's our refinements of our colonial family here. I kind of, for the colonies, mom and dad. I actually am getting to like this guy's face better than the earlier face. I just think it's got more character to it. So I just dropped this into both windows here. Here I go into YouTube. Now it'll just cycle. And I'll drop it into Twitch, and I'll have to spin it a couple times here. That's phenomenal. I really, honestly, I have not seen a science fiction show on TV that looks that good. Do it again. I have not seen anything on TV that looked that good. Because you can do things like these big studio lighting things, And then I've got another little thing for you. Did a lot of tests with with his wife Lisa. Lots of stuff of her walking around space colonies, and and trying to get the face right. I had to redo the faces without without the science fiction rings, because, as I think I mentioned last time, when I did the original generation on the faces, they had these steel helmet rings, and I would say, okay, great, take the guy's face and put him on stage accepting an Academy Award. So he'd be accepting an Academy Award with a giant steel ring around his neck and a tuxedo visible inside. So I had to basically remake the faces. I like the father that you just saw. I thought he was great. And I mentioned that the wife was a music teacher, Lisa, and did a bunch of stuff of her walking around, habitats and science fiction stuff. And so I thought I'd try something a little different to see if I could get the faces out of the science fiction. And it turns out I can. Check this out. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. It's just bloody amazing is what it is. It's just amazing. And that's all done with the new animation that's available in Midjourney. So I just think it looks really fantastic. Cleaver says try another AI generator to change outfits. Adobe Firefly works. So anyway, I think they look good. And I'm just completely impressed by all of this. So there you go. I don't know. So Salty Monkey wants to know if I'll do any kind of F-104 Widowmaker analog in the colonies. There's so much room for everything. What was I thinking about with the colonies just earlier today? Just another whole little storyline. What was that? Hang on. Let's get my comments up here where I can read them. Okay. Well, nothing comes to mind anyway. It'll probably come back to me. Yes, turning away from AI. That's exactly what we're doing. We're going to questions now. Still working on that new plugin, which is, as usual, taking forever. Let's do this. Just jump right in there, why don't we? We've been doing some long shows. Last 3-4 shows have been pushing 3 hours, if not over 3 hours. So we'll see what we can. Let's see if we can just get through these questions. So as always, I've got a bunch of stuff to do. Why is it taking so long to load? This guy's been playing with this thing, and I'm trying to build this new plugin. It's a little better. Okay, this one's put together by Roadrunner. Thank you for curating the questions here, Roadrunner. Appreciate it, as always, very much. Let me just peel this off here. A lot of stuff I have to track with 2 streams. It's a lot of desktop space acreage. All right, I think we're getting a little more organized. All right, that looks a little better. Okay. We got a Roadrunner, we got a Ian Nolan, we got a Road Rider, we got a Marusha Dark, we got a Steve Young, we got a Capital G Geek, got a Eric Blake, got a Marusha Dark in. All right, we get through those. From Roadrunner, our good pal. Hey, greetings, friend Bill. Hello, Roadrunner. How are you? Since the dog eater's first term, that'd be Brock, I reckon. Democrats have used the government to persecute conservatives, from grandmothers praying in front of abortion clinics to mothers complaining school board meetings to the J6 protesters. Dems have had no problem arresting and prosecuting people for their legal conduct. The anti-immigration riots happening in Los Angeles right now are being funded primarily by a group called Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles, or CHIRLA, which is a 501c3 organization. As you know, 501c3s must be non-political to be tax exempt, and this group is blatantly political. The IRS has no problem freezing the bank accounts of anyone who's late in paying taxes, unless they are IRS employees or other leftists or a company suspected of tax fraud. Why won't they freeze and prosecute progressive organizations for their blatantly illegal actions? Goose gander seems entirely appropriate right now and would be legally justified. Yeah, I completely agree. Kash Patel said that they were going after the people that were funding these things, and they were going after the financial networks. I would like to see George Soros take the walk personally. Again, the problem with legal action is it takes a long time to get going. Yeah, this is all AstroTurf. It's all funded by external sources, and it's just another indication that the left can't meme, and the left can't campaign. They can't put their candidates up to to a vote because the voters might vote wrong. They can't. The left treats people like it's all kabuki for them. It's all just going through the motions and controlling everything from behind the scenes. So, the left, of course, is saying that these No King's Day, which is the worst branding since Crystal Pepsi or something. I mean, that was just the stupidest name. You want to talk about a name that was not on people's lips or on the radar. We're not a nation that has kings. It's like, you want to really? You couldn't even go with No Tyrants. I could see New Tyrants, but No King's Day. Who's talking about that? It was just really shockingly bad for the left, which is losing its touch. Really has lost its touch. It was really at its peak in the 70s and 80s when especially the 70s, when they were really good at it, filmmaking and all the rest of this stuff. Thank you, Lapco. I found a comb and I found a hydraulic press. But they've just gotten worse and worse and worse. I guess it's probably because the original New Leftists had actual lives, but the people now that are running this goat rodeo on that side they're just such lightweights. They're just twerps, just twerps. And Roadrunner says President Trump congratulated the No Kings idiots, saying they were successful and he's still their president. Yeah, exactly. What just a dumb branding error. And 5 million people. Yeah, 5 million people turned out in sure, Waco, go ahead. Just remind me. Refresh the page. It just turned. I don't know. I just think the whole thing is a charade, and I think now that we have, I've been saying from the beginning, it all comes down to the Justice Department. So there you go. Let me just deal with this real quick because you put it in the chat section, and Waco's a friend of ours, and we don't have too many questions tonight. So moving on. From Fiery Waco here, it says, Bill, a quick search of satellite view on Google Maps of USAF flight line aprons shows many targets of opportunity. Given the growing threat of AI-controlled drone swarms like the recent successful attacks in Russia and Iran, what measures or strategies can you think of that would counter future drone swarm attacks? Well, overwhelming thermonuclear response would be my first guess at that. Um, the you know the it's clear that somebody could. Well, first of all, you have to understand just the amount of aircraft that we have. You launch a coordinated drone strike on U.S. air bases, you are committing an act of open warfare on American soil. And so, if you're going to do something like that, you better be damn sure that it's going to be worth it. Um, the the Ukrainians were already at war with Russia for years, obviously, so that was just part of an ongoing. That wasn't going to start a war. Um, and then the Israeli attacks in Iran. Again, that conflict's been going on forever. So who's gonna launch that? Look. I'm not saying it's not a concern. I'm just saying it's not something I worry about right now. Now, forward deployed bases, that'd be a different thing. Um, but we better be working, and I know we must be working really hard on these anti-drone technologies. Anduril, which I've done a couple segments on, I think now. The defense company has a microwave emitter that just knocks them down. So I suspect what's probably going to be happening is that these technologies, once they get perfected, will be hey, true. Uh, uh, the They'll just install these anti-drone electronic fields, just microwave them down, and so. Uh, but again, I'm not too worried about this because well, for example, just take the F-35s. We've got 1,000 of them. Um, the Ukrainian drones took out. I don't know what the total number of bombers were. I saw them take out a couple, at least 2 or 3 Bears and a couple of blackjack bombers, and the Russians don't have a lot of those, but um, we've got 1,000 F-35s on lines all around the world, and so I think probably our best defense right now is. I don't think anybody realistically thinks they can knock out our entire Air Force, but even if they did knock out the most powerful Air Force in the world, then the second most powerful Air Force in the world would go right into action, which is the United States Navy. So uh, I'm not I'm not terribly worried about that right now. If we were in a shooting war, and these were frontline deployed, that'd be one thing. Um, uh, but on the American homeland, that's a big red button to push, and I can't think of any reason why somebody would do that. I think if you really wanted to damage the United States, if you really wanted to cripple the United States, instead of taking out 1,000, or let's say you had 500 drones, or let's say you had 100, you could take out 100 combat aircraft, and we'd feel it, but it wouldn't significantly. You could take out 100 combat aircraft, not 10 or even 20, and we would certainly feel it, but it would just make us angry. If you had these drones dropping explosives into sporting events or shopping malls, or just randomly flying over and hitting large concentrations of people, that would freak people out. I remember very clearly the Washington D.C. Snipers. Um, uh, those two guys that had bored a hole in the trunk of their car, and they would get in the back of their car there, and just take pot shots at people, putting gas in their car. And I remember that crippled like 6 states. People just wouldn't go outside, which was really pretty unreasonable. People don't have a reasonable risk assessment mechanism, and I think I think we, I think elements of the blue elements of our society panic easily. Um, but so there's a lot of things I think you could do other than take out a bunch of our fighter planes, because we got a bunch. Um, uh, so Paul just says no, you don't want to hear it, but Trump and his movement is through. So large statement. Um, I I believe I beg to differ. Moving on, Ian Nolan, Bill, I'm with you on that take that the Congress are the true villains in the clash of Elon versus Trump, which seems to have cooled down quite a bit. Um, uh, and the situation was both feeling betrayed by the other's position on this bill. In fact, Thomas Massie predicted this feud exactly and triggered by Congress back in March. The other villain that's getting exposed is Sergio Gore, Trump's director of personnel policy, who apparently explicitly had an agenda to incite Elon against Trump. Well, then what the hell is this guy doing as in Trump's administration? We need to pray that Trump learns some of his advisors may be loyal to him but still have agendas that are evil. I was very pleased to see Elon walk it back and not only apologize, but just say I was really just out of control over the line. I was concerned that this thing would get bigger. It's not bigger; it's getting smaller. In fact, it didn't last a week. I mean, it's really just a non-issue now. Elon's got a lot of he's got a lot going on. Things at SpaceX which were just on a rail. I mean, just success after success, and catching the booster twice, and making it look so easy. It's had 3 failures now, plus the explosion of a Starship on the pad, which has been a while. So 3 flight failures. Last three Starship flights have been failures where the second stage failed, and they got. He's got a lot of stuff that he's got to catch up on. I just am glad that's it. And by the way, I thought Trump certainly behaved better than Trump 45 would have behaved. If that had happened with Trump 45, he would have gone completely nuclear. But he seemed very restrained. He seemed really didn't take a lot of shots that he could have taken, and so I was happy to see that too. He's certainly a more mature guy than he was in his first administration, and that's nothing but good. But your point about advisors being loyal but still having their own agendas, that's not loyalty in my opinion. You got to be real careful about that. So we'll see. Road Rider. Darn, the news cycle moves so fast. The question I posted on Tuesday seems out of touch, so I deleted it. Here's the new question. Can you think of someone better to be in the position of reacting to riots, paid insurgencies, and keeping the big Republican tent together than Trump and his team? Imagine Kamala and Timmy and Petey and Corey and Hakimi in power right now. Well, first of all, if Kamala was in power right now, there wouldn't be any ICE riots, because ICE wouldn't be doing its job. ICE would be tied down and told to look the other way while millions of more immigrants flooded the country. These people they're left-wing street brutes and savages. This is what they did in Nazi Germany when the National Socialists had power. They just go out in the streets and beat people up and just constantly cause unrest. And they had no other purpose than just physical intimidation. So they're trying, but Antifa doesn't seem to be standing up very well against Marines, uh, and um, and that doesn't surprise me. I'm just real happy that. In fact, I'm not only happy. I can't believe my eyes. I can't believe I'm actually watching uh, ICE going into Los Angeles, California, and enforcing immigration laws. This is unbelievable. Really, it's unbelievable to me. So there's that. Here's a new follow-up question, still from Road Rider. There are many Republicans squaring off on Israel support or no wars or yes wars, tariffs, yes or no, debt ceiling, yes or no. What would Assistant to the President Bill Whittle advise President Trump regarding messaging to keep the Trump Republican coalition from tearing itself apart? Divided, we fall and all, fail and all. I think Trump is playing this pretty smart, and I think, uh, I think, I think it'd be a mistake. And God knows I'm a hawk, but I think it would be a mistake for the U.S. to get into this. I think um, I think Israel is more than capable of taking out that threat. I think the U.S. should be aggressively. This is what we've got a right angle going up tonight on the military strike, and then we got one going up tomorrow night on the regime and on the potential fall of the Iranian regime. I said, I think what Trump needs to do. Look, we nearly lost. We nearly lost we lost the best chance of peace that I'd seen in a long time. Iran is the number one enemy in the world right now. All international terror essentially comes through Iran. But in 2009, when the Iranians spoke up, the Green Movement and the Arab Spring or whatever, and they were on the verge of overthrowing the mullahs, and the response from the Obama White House was silence, just dead silence, because Obama was on Iran's side. Susan Rice and other high level advisors to the Obama administration were Iranians who've been at war with the United States since 1979. So what I think Trump needs to do is do pretty much exactly what he's doing, making it clear that we're on Israel's side on this. But I really think that no wars under Trump thing would be a good record to keep. Now, I cannot, for the life of me, I cannot imagine under any circumstances that there would be U.S. troops involved. I can't imagine a U.S. Cruise missile strike or B-2 strike, but I think if the U.S. did get involved in this, we could do it without casualties. I mean, any casualties, any. But nevertheless, I think it's better if we don't. I think we should. I really think we should just kind of sit this one out. They said 5708 Rivera says they need our 30K bunker buster bomb, which apparently Steve Green points out only the B-2 can carry. But I don't know. That's to get to their hardened nuclear facilities. We don't have to bunker bust them if the regime topples. Now, what I heard today was that Khamenei has turned over control of Iran to the Revolutionary Council, and is essentially saying, "I'm not doing anything." So he sounds scared. Trump's statement that we know where you are, and we could take you out right now, but we're not going to do it today because we don't really feel like it. But we may change our mind. I think that's really smart. I think that's it. And by the way, the bombs we're talking about are not a Moab. The Moab is a a fuel air explosive. It's a surface bomb. Bomb drops and disperses this gigantic cloud of essentially of gasoline vapor, and then an igniter goes off and you pump the fuel into the air, and then you ignite it and it goes off. But that doesn't have any real penetrating power. The bombs we're talking about are real, really hardened, dedicated bombs that come in with a tremendously thick casing, and they can just go through a lot of protection. But my point is this: first of all, if it turns out that the regime is overthrown, then they'll just open the doors. And secondly, Iran has collapsed so spectacularly that you really don't have to. You don't really even have to bomb the facility. You just basically cut it off. Just cut it off. Just surround it. And I don't think Iran looks weaker. My point during the right angle is that I see a big parallel between the Iranian situation now and the Soviet situation, where the regime has been keeping up this appearance of complete authority and real aggressive rhetoric. But just like the Soviets, I think the Iranian regime has just been hollowed out over the last several decades and has no staying power. The numbers are apparently 80% of the Iranian population wants them gone, and they're waiting for their moment. So I think it's time to give them moral support and tell them, welcome back. Get back into the community of nations. I mean, your country's become poverty-stricken with these mullahs, and your people are miserable. And if you get rid of those yahoos, there's a lot of sanctions that we've had on your country for a long time that we could lift immediately. So there you go. That's what I think we ought to do. I do think Iran's nuclear program has to stop. I think Israel was right to do it. So there's different levels. I don't see any world where the U.S. has troops on the ground. I just cannot. It's inconceivable to me. I think the only if we don't sit it out, then I think the only thing that the U.S. would do would be to launch a raid, combined raid. Look, the Israelis have air superiority over Tehran, so it's not. I mean, seriously, you could, with the United States, in one evening, could put an end to this thing in one evening, and not take a single casualty. I mean, not even a scuffed boot. That's pretty much what we could accomplish. And if it turns out that it comes down to either that or letting this regime stay on, then I'd be in favor of a raid, an air attack. But I don't see anything or any indication or anybody talking about boots on the ground or nation building or any of that stuff. So I think that if the Israelis keep up the pressure on the Iranian regime, when the leader of the country basically says, I'm out of here, you guys, you young kids handle this. I think they're on the verge of going down, and it'd be better if we didn't have to be a part of that, because I don't think anybody really doubts that we could put an end to it in an evening if we really wanted to. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so Russia Dark topic, Reconquista. I'll leave it to someone else to bring up Iran, except to point out that film theory basically proved Iran was the country being targeted in Top Gun Maverick, which is interesting in light of recent events. I always thought it was Iran as well. In one of your virtual president speeches, you joked you weren't qualified to be POTUS because you lacked, among other things, a military service record before dropping the punchline, well, I guess Obama proved that you don't need any of that. Trump has also proved you don't need political experience or media support. You just need balls and conscience and a willingness to stand on principles. From Gavin Newsom to Karen Bass to pretty much every congressional representative, California has devolved into a dangerous and lawless failed state with several dangerous and lawless failed cities. You guys tried putting in Larry Elder during the recall, and he was shot down as the blackface of white supremacy. Let me just say one thing about that. The way that the California recall works is there was no limit on the number of candidates. There was no primary. So, first of all, Elder got in late. Secondly, they sued to keep him off the ballot. Thirdly, I think there were 13 challengers. So, you're splitting the anti-Newsom vote 13 different ways, and it's interesting to see what would have happened if there had been an actual runoff. But that's how the recall movement works. They were able to recall Gray Davis and replace him with Arnold Schwarzenegger only because Schwarzenegger had such star power at the time. He was just so bloody. It was a force of nature in terms of his film presence, So anyway, given your particular set of skills and the fact that you're adamant about not wanting to leave California and move back to America, would you consider in all seriousness answering the call to serve as a mayor, a governor, a congressman, something, anything to help bring California back into the fold of sanity and law? Not as an advisor, you've done that before, but yourself running, because frankly, I don't see anyone else willing or able to do it at this point. And just short of civil war, I only see it drifting further and further away. It'll just cost more blood and treasure to reconquer it later. I could not be a politician. I just couldn't do it. To sit in the legislature, it's a special kind of hell, I would think. And even as governor, like I'm not competent to be governor. And I don't want to be. I think look, there are plenty of people who would be who are conservative, who've run businesses, who would better be better able to do this, and things are changing out here. There's a vibe change all across the country. I think the January fires in Malibu and Pacific Palisades really affected the way that people vote out here. We'll find out, soon enough. I'll tell you one thing. Prior to the Palisades and Altadena fires, I had, I want to say I feared Newsom so much as I respected his ability to be persuasive. But Newsom, what I didn't know until the fires was that there is nothing there. Newsom is he's just a walking $800 haircut. He looked panicked, and he looked lost, and a lightweight, and he had that deer in the headlights look. And then you follow that with his response to the riots, where she says you don't have to be competent, you just have to be not evil. Yeah, well, one thing about running for office is if you don't have the fire in the belly for it, you're just not going to succeed. Then I just don't want to do it. If you'd asked me this 10 years ago, I would have had a completely different answer, but I just don't want to do it. I just don't. I especially don't want to do it now more than any time ever, But the one thing that I do want to do, and I've always wanted to do, at least since I failed the vision test for the Air Force Academy in 1976, so that's quite a while. Since the one thing I've always wanted to do is now actually within, I can touch it. I can't grasp it yet, but I can touch it. Um, uh, I just don't. I just don't have any desire to do it. I'm more than happy to help anybody who will do it, and you don't have to be. There are plenty of conservatives who are capable of rhetorical intelligence. We just always seem to pick the worst ones. You know, really just pick the worst ones, and so you know, I don't know. I'll tell you one thing about this Reconquista thing, by the way. The left used to be masters of optics. I did one of the first afterburners I ever did was called oh, come on, iconography, and that all of their choices during the Obama years, um, all of their graphic design, all of their stage design, all of their lighting, all of their stagecraft, the rhetoric, all of it was perfect, and the Republicans were just terrible, but they are so bad at it now that when you see these you see these Chicanos standing on burning cars waving a huge Mexican flag in downtown Los Angeles. It's like I couldn't produce better imagery for Republicans. So I just think that they're cooked, man. I just really think that they're cooked, and I, I'm not saying that we can't um, screw it up, but uh, a lot. I'm anecdotally hearing a lot of stories about people who have been lifelong liberals who are just saying we're just this we could afford to be liberals until it was our houses that burned down. So there you go. Um, it's just the way I look at it. So, Steve Young, evening, Bill. I don't think the leaders of Israel or America will be so dumb as to martyr the Ayatollah to Islam. What say you? Covered most of this already, Steve. I think Trump is playing this perfectly. He's basically saying, yes, of course we could kill you. We'd kill you tomorrow. But we decided we're not going to kill you today. We'll see how we feel tomorrow. That's perfect. It's strong. It's intimidating, but at the same time, it's not an outright declaration of war. In fact, it's kind of a declaration of peace. It's kind of like if you really think about what he's saying, it's such an emasculating thing to say, and I think and Trump is a master of negotiation and emotional manipulation. What he's basically saying out loud is, of course we can take out your entire government. We just don't feel like doing it. That's how powerful we are. And I think that the message really is for the Iranian people, Like, well, of course we can knock you over. It doesn't take, we knock you over in an hour. We'll just take tink and you're falling. He's sending a message, I think, to the Iranian people. And on the second right angle that we did on that, which is Scott's right angle about the regime change, I said, look, I understand that the Soviet Union and the Iranian people had a lot in common, and one of them is that all of the people who had the character to lead a revolution are dead. All of the people with heroism and the moral courage to stand up and rise up against those regimes were killed, and their families were killed, and everybody who knew them were killed. Entire communities were killed. And when all of the people who've got the guts to start a revolution are murdered for decades, you're left with a population that is cowed, terrified, and difficult to motivate. But my final conclusion on the Iranian thing was simply this: I understand it's it's risky, but if you don't secure your own freedom, you don't deserve it. We can't do it for you. It's the one thing we learned in the first 2 decades of the 21st century is that we can't do it for you. Uptick Mick wants to know what I'm wearing. I'm wearing one of my bitchin' bowling shirts. See? Groovy. Comes a point where the Iranian people are going to have to decide whether they want to, get out of underneath these horrible people. And if you look at pictures of Iran from the 1960s and 70s, it's astonishing. There's women walking down the streets in miniskirts and all of it. So I don't know, man. I got a good feeling that this regime is on its last legs, and it couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of people. Capital G Geek, greetings from the swamps of Northern Virginia. It's Juneteenth, and I'm celebrating the execution of the Rosenberg traitors. That's awesome, because they were, and I had no problem with that whatsoever. The left howled and howled and howled and howled and howled that the Rosenbergs were innocent. They were, and then that Alger Hiss was innocent, and all these people were innocent. It's like, nope, they were all commie traitors and spies. If we need a black holiday, then it should be a black accomplishment. There should be Booker T. Washington's birthday should be more than Martin Luther King Day, much more. Something like the Nat Turner Slave Rebellion, or celebrating the 54th Massachusetts, one of the colored cavalry regiments, an accomplishment rather than the notification of a gift. Still waiting for the Bill Bitchin from the Camaro thing. Yeah, I really think they ought to make Booker T. Washington Day, because then people would have to start asking, well, who the hell was Booker T. Washington? He was, I think he had the most personal character of any man in U.S. It was certainly of top 5. His character was up there with Washington and Lincoln. Lady Hawk mentions Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was a firebrand and really necessary, but Frederick Douglass didn't have. Booker T. Washington is one of the most remarkable individuals ever to walk this earth. Really, just ever to walk this earth. And so yes, I completely agree. And what's conveniently left out about all of the Juneteenth celebrations is that Juneteenth is the celebration of the Union, that would be the Republican Party, word getting to the slaves that they were free, because the Republicans won the election in 1864, and the Union finished the job. The idea that this was the day when they realized that Republicans had set them free would have been a nice addition to Juneteenth. But I noticed that people like Kamala Harris and Chucky Schumer and the rest of them don't do that. Swapperette says, I need to find a good Booker T. Washington bio. Read his autobiography, Up From Slavery. It's astonishing. Really an astonishing guy. Just read Up From Slavery. So, there you go. Hey, look at that. We got 2 to go. And I know it's a short show tonight, but I kind of need a short show tonight. So, April 5th is Booker T. Washington's birthday. How about that? That's great. That's April 5th is his birthday. April 6th is Natasha's birthday. And April 7th is my birthday. So, there you go. Eric Blake, tonight the case of the California cleanout. Hey, Bill, I was afraid the question would be outdated with the whole Iran-Israel thing, but a recent revelation in the alleged paper of record has kept it relevant. So as you probably know, amid the whole ICE riot National Guard matter, Gavin Newsom taunted Tom Homan with a dare to arrest him, which Trump responded by saying he was open to the idea. Beautiful. Yeah, yeah, and it's another thing. Newsom just looks so. He just looked like a bad actor auditioning for community theater role. Yeah, I want to come and get me, tough guy. Come and get me. See if I care. I don't care. All right. As long as you don't mess up your hair while they put the handcuffs on. Um, Now, just today, we got a story from the New York Times about the financial woes of the Democrats. According to the old gray hag, the DNC is stone cold broke, due in large part to the Doge crackdown on U.S. aid. So we've been paying for the Democratic Party. We've been paying for a 20-point headwind. Conservatives have been paying for a 20-point headwind for 50 years now. We pay them to to oppose us. Um, so, uh, so with all this in mind, what are the odds that we might see the Trump feds crack down in the electoral corruption in California, thereby leading to a potential red turn in the Golden State next year? It's not like the Democrats have the money to fight it, or do they? Um, I'm, you know, I always am very careful about the things that I want to see the most. If it's something that I really feel like, boy, this would be great, that's when I get most cynical, just out of hard experience. Um, Paul says, Bill, admit that Trump is screwing up big time. I do believe he's finished even. Well, he's not finished, and he's not screwing up big time. So no, I won't admit that. I won't admit it because there's no evidence for it. He's rolling, man. And it's the Democrats who can't elect dog catchers anymore. So, I'm done arguing about that. Um, so, as far as California goes, Eric, it's hard to say. Um, but anecdotally, for what it's worth, a lot of lifelong liberals said they just can't do this anymore. So. What we need is we need a good candidate for governor, and it's I think James Wood would be terrific. I think he'd be absolutely perfect. I think I think he's got the fire to do it. He's this. I'm looking forward to interviewing James Wood so I can test out this, try out this line on him. James, you're widely known as the most intelligent actor in all of Hollywood. You went to MIT and so on. But then again, it's kind of a low bar to clear, isn't it? So if James Woods decide to run for president, then I will campaign for him. Not just help him with the campaign. I will stump for him. And he's a fighter, man, and he's got star power. And look, California worships at the god of celebrities, yeah, I think if he decides to do it, he's got to be getting a lot of pressure to be doing it, but if he does, I will also. I'll just say, James, look, man, you've seen me speak. Let me work on some speeches with you, and let me introduce you at some events. I get those people fired up, and I'll go stump for events, where you can't make it. So, yeah. So I think that's I think he's probably the best shot. But it's good to know that they're broke as well as broken. It's a nice thing to hear. Okay, last question of the night, and I think we'll just do an hour show tonight. Sorry about that, but got a lot to do. Here we go. It's Marisha Dark again. Topic: heroes and villains. Been watching full Senate and House hearings. You got either more spare time on your hands than I do, or a much stronger Constitution. Why is Josh Hawley consistently such an absolute boss? He is, isn't he? He's my favorite guy in politics. He's my favorite guy in politics. I think He reminds me of Jimmy Stewart, um, and he's just got the perfect combination of restraint and being red in tooth and claw. He is he is a he's a wonder. I think Josh Hawley is just absolutely, you're like you said, just an absolute boss. He's just, I really want to see that man go higher. He's very similar to Trey Gowdy, but he doesn't have any of Gowdy's negatives. I mean, Trey with that haircut, and just a little eccentric. I love Trey Gowdy. Don't get me wrong. I loved him. He was the only consolation we had during the Obama years. Um, well, one of two or three, but Hawley's fantastic. That man is doing the Lord's work. Did you see that only one of the Dems on the House Judiciary Committee even bothered to show up during the hearing about Biden's use of the auto pen? Disgraceful. That said, who are your top 5 favorite and least favorite members of each of the House and Senate? I don't even know if I know enough of them. I have a lot of respect and admiration for Ted Cruz. I know, say I know Ted personally, but I do. I mean, he walked up to tap me on the shoulder in an airport. So Ted Cruz is a really good guy. He doesn't come across very well on television. He doesn't come across very well when he's public speaking, but in private, he's just very natural and very warm, and he's just a little. It just gets, I don't know, just something when he gets on camera. But I love him. I love the man. I think he's a really good man, and I really cannot imagine a better person for the Supreme Court than Ted Cruz. I think that's where he belongs. I think Ted Cruz belongs on the Supreme Court, and I would love to see him be Chief Justice. That would be phenomenal. He was he was a law clerk for, was it Alito? Or anyway, they said he was the smartest law clerk that anybody had ever seen. Somebody's saying he didn't do very well with the Tucker interview, but I think Tucker Carlson's lost his ever-loving mind, frankly. Scalia, that's who I was thinking of. Yes, Scalia. So Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Kennedy is awesome. He's just great. Nobody else is just leaping out at me. A lot of the people who I liked are in the administration now. As far as the other team goes, you know, Jasmine Crockett, I'm just going to call her Nurse Ratchet from now on. It's not just that her opinions are so over the top and insane, but she's vulgar. She lowers she lowers the tone of any room that she's in. What's that line? She deprives you of solitude without providing you with company. That kind of thing. So yeah, she's terrible. AOC is a joke, and every time listening to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez call Elon Musk an idiot is high comedy. You don't see much of Pelosi anymore. Thank God that old drunk is shuffled off. I think Chuck Schumer's a repulsive individual, and it just oozes corruption and smarminess and just a horrible person. Maxine Waters is a joke, and that face with a just resting sturgeon face is just terrible. I just can't stand her, and usual cast of suspects. Adam Schiff is a weaselly little slime ball, and you know, it's just it's just a clown car. The fact that Kamala Harris a was a presidential candidate. Just think about what a pathetic bench there is. And so who are the young, who's up and coming? Cory Booker, that that kind of, clown. Um, you know, whatever. Yeah, I love him when he was putting the Dave's Reels Area 51 says Schumer should go open up his own raw burger with cheese franchise. Yeah, I'm just a regular guy just cooking a barbecue. That's all I'm doing, barbecuing like I do every week. I've got my raw hamburgers on the grill, which has probably got no light or coals underneath it. And I'm going to put the cheese on now. You can just, again, they used to have very, very tight messaging, tight optics, and now they're just unbelievably sloppy and stupid. The no kings thing, and just dumb. Um, Coffee Shinato said David Hogg. I love how David Hogg got elected, and then immediately goes into full corruption mode, steals the entire Democratic Party's mailing list to do a mailing for his own personal charity, and then is basically booted out for being white. And that was the excuse that they used. Well, the Democratic Committee is looking a little bit too white for us, so it's like, congratulations, you're out the door. Dave Big Boutte says Hogg was too masculine for the DNC. Yeah, he's too much of a he-man for the DNC. He's a repulsive little reptile. Again, I think about Hogg and I think about guys like Destiny. It's like they don't even rise to the level of jerk, or they're just twerps. They're just dinks. They're just twerps. And it's you can't take him seriously. The guy's just a cartoon. So anyway, yeah. So that's my roster, and it's I don't know, man. We're looking really, really good. Um, we could look a lot better. I'd like to get rid of the rhinos. I'd really like to have done a lot better on the big beautiful bill. Really, a lot better. I was kind of on Elon's side on this whole, Doge going through the government like a tornado, and saving $1 trillion or something. And hey, we'll take half the money and pay the debt, and take the half money and give people rebate. That sounded good to me. Um, but they don't do it. Mike Churchill says get rid of Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell he's a Galapagos tortoise, man, and yeah, we need to get, and our bench looks great. I think we got a really good young bench. I like JD a lot. And there's a lot of up and comers, and like I said, Josh Hawley and guys like that. So, we'll see. Um, but MAGA is not the Republican Party. Um, so, it's a whole different coalition. And when you get RFK and his followers, when you get MAGA and Maha on the same team, that's a pretty powerful combination. It's a unparalleled coalition, and it's got unparalleled success. I don't see any sign of it stopping. So I'm looking forward to 2028. I'm looking forward to 2026. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens when you cut off the Dems and the progressives' money supply. Really interesting to see what happens once you've done that. So, there you go. Well, we've done an hour. I know an hour is short for us, but I think I think I'm pretty much pasted for the night. A little bit of work left to do. Then I'm going to go home, get to bed early, get some sleep, get up early, and get back in here. I have to get some of these. Oh, let me show you something. I've been doing. I've been editing shows for Micro, and I'm still working on that show. I'm way behind on it, to be honest with you. But I offered to do AI images and pictures for other guys' shows, you know. And one of the editors is working on a show about the Civil War period. I don't want to give it away because Mike's shows are all got a kind of a spin on them. But let me just show you something that I did here that I think actually is pretty cool. Check this out. Found footage of Abraham Lincoln, recently discovered. Come on, bloody thing! Hang on. Yeah, recently discovered, found footage of Abraham Lincoln delivering the Gettysburg Address. Never before seen video in HD. Come on. I don't know why this desktop labs is so bloody awful. OBS is, it's the same company. OBS is simple. Screw you, bastard. Anyway, you get the idea. And one more time, you get this bigger. There we go. Isn't that cool? I just think that's a cool image, and I really, really like it. And actually, I mentioned that Midjourney animates stuff now. So let me show you a little. Give me 1 second, and I will show you 5 seconds of Lincoln giving the Gettysburg Address here. Give me a second to find this bloody thing. You can look at that for a sec. And where the heck would you be? Are you here? No. You're here, yes. Check this out. Hang on a second. Just take a minute to download this sucker. I should have some fun stuff to show on Monday, because this Midjourney animator is really, really good. Really good. But hang on. Did I miss it? No. Hold the phone, hold the phone. Here we go. This is just cool. Here it comes. Stand by. All right, here we go. Take a look at this. Oh, come on. Hang on, I got too many bloody desktop windows open here. Give me a second here. Worth the wait. We have downloads here. Is it you? Yeah. All right, check it out. This technology is amazing. I'm obviously just such a history buff, but seeing it is just, it's just amazing to me. One more time. It's like being there. We were gonna see some amazing stuff. And I actually got contacted today by a guy who does comic books, who saw the LA City on Fire thing, and said, "Yeah, I wanted to see if you wanted to work on some comic book stuff with the AI video." And he said, I really like what you and your crew did with the LA burning thing. I said, I am the crew, yeah, basically. You know. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's, I got a question, hang on. Battle Smurf says, is it possible to post the prompts you use to create so we could try it out? Yeah, you know, Natasha, what I did with this was um, I used a reference image of Lincoln, which is why he looks so good. So Natasha wants to do a video of me showing how it works. So because it's not just the prompt. It's the prompt will generate 4 different images, and it just you got to kind of pursue it. You know, you just got to kind of narrow it down and pursue it. Um, but um, but boy, I just sure do love this stuff. I just can't get enough of it. It's just like the ultimate toy, and just wish I had it 10, 15 years ago. But then again, we wouldn't be here if that were the case. So, you know, there we go. All right. I think that'll do it. Yeah, you know, the show's made possible by the members at BillWhittle.com who keep the lights on here and all the rest of it and all the rest of that stuff. And yeah, Castellan says Midjourney is the one site I haven't used for images. My limited experience, I've been playing with AI video for maybe 3 weeks now, but in my opinion, Midjourney has no competition, none. It's just phenomenal, and they just added animation to it like today. So I think the Chinese AI video came out with a new engine today that is making what is it VO3, which was the bee's knees a week ago, is now making it look, you know, even better. So this is fantastic. There's tremendous amount of competition and a lot of money, and so that's great. So, you know, there you go. That's I think that's pretty much it. We're going to be back on Monday, and I'm going to have a bunch, and I mean a bunch of just cool stuff to show. And I'm going to start putting together. When I can get a little caught up on the rest of the stuff, I'm going to start putting together the outlines of the colony sizzle reel. You know, just the basic outlines of you know, how it works, because I've got so many pictures that look so good, and they're just phenomenal. I'm just blown away. I've been working on 3D imagery for 40 years now, and you know, there you go. All right. That'll do it. We'll see you guys on Monday. We'll say goodnight to our friends on YouTube first. So thanks for joining us, YouTube. It's a pleasure being here again. A little bit short show tonight, but you know, better late than never. And we'll see you guys on Monday.